of all his wedding gifts, Prince Llewellyn, long ago of Wales, his favorite of all of them was the Irish wolfhound that he named Gelert. When he finally grew up to go hunting with him, he had such keen eyesight. And he was so muscular and strong that he would quickly spot a stag or a hart and bound away after them. And every time, Prince Llewellyn couldn't watch his hound without having a flashback of that day when King John, with his eyes twinkling merrily, reached into his cloak, brought out the gift, set it on the floor. And as Llewellyn picked it up and felt that young puppy licking his face affectionately, it was then that bond of friendship began to forge. He quickly made his way to the front of the pack. Of all the hounds, he was clearly the master's favorite, the only one ever to be allowed at the table where Llewellyn could slip him morsels of juicy meat. But a strange thing happened. When the time finally came for the birth of his first son, Llewellyn's attention shifted slightly. And Gelert, that faithful Irish wolfhound, noticed it. And wanting to please his master, he too shifted attention. In fact, it was often that you'd find the two of them, the baby lying in the cradle, and Gelert leaning over his scruffy face, tickling that strange pink, bald man. As the child grew into a toddler, Gruffin was his name. He would grab hold of that Irish wolfhound's tail, and the large mammoth dog would drag him around across the castle floor. They were a strange pair, these two, that massive hound and the tiny little toddler. But people didn't give much attention to it. The servants simply smiled as they passed through. The age finally came when they felt that the boy was old enough that they could finally go hunting together, man and wife. So Llewellyn, his wife, and a small party of hunters made their way deep into the forest to their lodge where they spent the night. And then next morning arranged to go off on the hunt. But as they headed out, Llewellyn looked at his wife. They'd been discussing it for some time, leaving their child back alone. And his wife said, don't you worry about it. He's going to be fine. He's got Gelert. So, somewhat reassured, they headed off on the hunt. They left the nurse, the child, Gruffin, and Gelert. Well, it was a great hunt. And when they came back, victorious, having found several deer, they made their way through the clearing. When they did, Llewellyn could see that the door was slightly ajar, and he felt a prickle at the nape of his neck. And as he quickly dismounted, made his way inside, that prickle turned to a pang of fear, for he saw the nurse lying unconscious on the floor, and everything was strewn about in shambles. That fear turned to panic. "Gruffin! Gruffin!" he cried, and he ran through the lodge. "Gruffin!" That's when he saw the faithful Gelert limping toward him, his teeth mired in blood and gore. And in a flash, he could see what must have happened. Being left alone with that juicy, tender little babe, and being hungry, he must have attacked him. And in that flash, he brought out his sword and drove it deep into the heaving chest. So filled with rage was Llewellyn that he almost didn't hear the muffled cry. He turned quickly, ran over to the corner, lifted off the tiny bed to see his child completely unharmed, lying peacefully on a dead gray wolf. Its throat ripped out, its blood congealing down in its matted fur. He turned and leapt toward his faithful hound, reached down, tenderly held his head, and then felt his heart sink as that faithful Gelert reached up, trying to kiss his master one last time before he sank into